Welcome back to Creeps and Cases, where the internet's darkest corners come to life. Tonight, we're diving deep into terrifying true stories straight from Reddit. These are the stories people swore they'd never tell, but they did. And now you're about to hear them. Lock your doors. Check behind you. Let's begin. Story 1. Something followed me to my new apartment. From Paranormal, posted by Rip5442. I thought I suffered from sleep paralysis. I'd wake up frozen with a black figure standing at the edge of the bed. Sometimes it whispered. Sometimes it leaned closer. When I moved across the country and into a new apartment, I figured the episodes would stop, but the third night there I woke up pinned to the bed. I felt the weight of something crawling over my chest. I could hear breathing. When I finally forced myself to move, the room was empty. I checked the sheets. They were twisted tight around my legs like they'd been tied. The next morning I found 3 deep scratches on my ankle. I had never seen physical marks before. That was the last night I ever slept there. Story 2. She whispered my name from the hallway. From Ghosts, posted by Satins Advocat. I grew up in a creaky old farmhouse, built in the early 1900s. At night, I'd hear voices whispering from the hallway. One night at 2:30 a.m., I heard someone softly whisper my name. I thought maybe it was my mom, but when I checked, everyone was sound asleep. The next morning, I told her about it. She got quiet and said she used to hear the same thing when she was pregnant with me. A woman whispering her name, right before something bad would happen. That week, my grandfather died suddenly. We stayed in the house a few more years, but the voices never went away. I always felt like something there was watching us and waiting. Story 3. The figure that watched our cabin. From Paranormal, posted by Ballista_King. A group of us stayed at a cabin in the Smoky Mountains. Total seclusion. No phone signal. Just woods and silence. On the second night, I went outside for air and saw something standing between the trees. It wasn't moving, just watching. Each night after that, I saw it again. Same spot, same posture. Never closer, never gone. On the last night, I aimed a flashlight toward the trees. The light caught something reflective eyes. Human eyes. We locked every door and window. The next morning, we found muddy boot prints circling the cabin. There was no sign of a trail, no car nearby, and no footprints leading away. Story 4. The mirror I bought wasn't empty. From Sleep, posted by Midnight_Mirror. I bought an antique mirror from an estate sale. The woman seemed desperate to get rid of it. I hung it in my bedroom. That was a mistake. Within days, I started hearing tapping on the wall where the mirror hung. I'd wake up from vivid dreams, always, with a pale woman staring at me from inside the reflection. One night, I saw her hanging by her neck inside the mirror. I covered it with a blanket and put it outside. The next day was back on the wall. I live alone. Eventually, I smashed the mirror and buried the pieces in different parks across the city. I still see her sometimes in reflections, in glass, even dark screens. She's not attached to the mirror anymore. She's attached to me. Story 5. My toddler talks to the quiet man. From Paranormal Encounters, posted by Ronnie_Styles. My 3-year-old son told me about his friend, the quiet man who lives in his closet. He said the man comes out at night and watches him sleep. At first, I thought it was just a kid's imagination. Then I saw the drawings. Tall, faceless figure, black hat, always standing by a bed. One night I heard whispering from his room. I opened the door and he was sitting up, staring at the closet. He whispered, "I can't let you out." Mommy said no. The closet door creaked open by itself. We moved a month later. He hasn't spoken about the quiet man since, but sometimes when he plays alone, he'll pause and look behind him and smile. Story 6, Face at the Door in a New Apartment. From Paranormal, hosted by you, the Anastasia Lee 1. My mom and I moved into a new apartment in South Carolina. A week later, around midnight, I was in my bed when I heard a soft thump near the bedroom door. I looked toward the small crack under the door and saw what looked like a shadow, or maybe a face pressed close to the floor, staring in. I called out for my mom. We searched the whole apartment. Nothing was there. Later, we noticed the sliding door to the back patio was wide open. We had locked it earlier. My mom swore she didn't open it. I tried to convince myself it was a dream, but the feeling I had that night, that someone or something was just inches away on the other side of the door, still chills me. We kept the lights on every night after that. Story 7, Black Smoke Orbs and a Grim Reaper Shadow. From Paranormal, hosted by you, Noob 1988. A few months after my grandmother passed, strange things started happening. One day I saw smoky black orbs darting through the living room, small, fast, with a visible trail like burning ash. Later that evening, I noticed 3 massive buzzards sitting silently on the fence in the backyard. I'd never seen one in person, let alone 3. They just stared. That night I stepped outside near the street lamp. I saw something step out from behind my neighbor's garage, a huge, dark figure, easily 12 to 15 feet tall. No details, no face, just solid shadow. I ran inside. The next day I searched for footprints. Nothing. I haven't seen the shadow again, but I still feel watched any time I'm alone at night, like it's waiting for something. Story 8, Full Moon Blackout in the Fields. From Our Ghosts, hosted by you, Roommate Abuser. It was a clear summer night. My friend Ben and I were walking near the canal fields. The full moon was so bright we could see everything. Suddenly everything went dark. Not just a cloud passing over the moon, everything. The moon, the sky, the stars gone. It happened in 3 seconds, like someone dropped a black curtain over the sky. It was the kind of darkness where you can't even see your own hands. Ben froze. I remember him whispering, "Did you see that, too?" We stood there in silence until the moon reappeared just as suddenly. Neither of us spoke the rest of the walk home. Story 9, Ouija Board That Refused to Commit. From Our Ghost Stories, posted by you, Matajalitas. This happened to my ex-wife when she was about 17. She and her friends used a Ouija board just for fun. At first, they got a name and dates. Someone who claimed to be a woman from the 1850s. Then the story changed. Now it said it was a 13-year-old boy who died in the 1970s. Then it was someone else entirely. They asked, "Who are you really?" The planchette moved slowly. "I am whoever I want to be." My ex swears the same presence answered every question, no matter what name or story it gave, and she never touched a board again. Story 10, asking Reddit for unexplainable encounters, from our Paranormal, posted by multiple users in a discussion thread. In a Reddit thread asking for true paranormal experiences, one user shared that their child woke up, crying every night, at 3:33 a.m., saying a man in the ceiling was watching them. Another told the story of a night shift nurse who kept hearing her name, whispered down an empty hallway, always from a patient room that had been locked for weeks. Another saw a woman in white walk through their backyard, only to realize there were no footprints, and the gate was never opened. There were hundreds of these stories, different people, different places, but the fear felt the same. Story 11, night vibrations running toward me, from our ghosts, posted by You Reditter, Anonymous. One night I was sleeping on Skype with my girlfriend. I woke up abruptly to deafening vibrations and a sound like something running toward me at full speed. My scream wasn't even recognizable as mine. My girlfriend woke almost at the same time and said she heard it too. I've never been more terrified in my life. Story 12. Security guard encounters someone in a locked building, from r Ask Reddit, posted by you Night_Shifter, pseudonym. My dad worked in security and I followed in his footsteps. One night I was standing in for another guard at a site I'd never been to. Around 2 a.m., I entered one of the buildings and thought I saw someone moving ahead. The building was locked, and there shouldn't have been anyone there. The door behind me closed softly. I turned slowly and realized I was completely alone. Story 13, haunted 1950s summer in Maine, from R No Sleep, Anonymous, posted by you Nostalgia_Child. I lived in a small town in Maine in 1950 and had a childhood friend who moved away. The summer that followed was the worst of my life, not because of loneliness, but because something else came that summer. The author says, I've never told anybody this story because it scares me almost to death. But death seems friendlier than it used to, so listen close. That sense of dread stayed with me forever. Story 14, missing posters predicting the future, from R No Sleep, posted by you Travel_Haunted. I found a stack of old missing person posters in my attic, some dating decades back. Oddly, many featured names and faces I recognized from local news just last year, as if they had been missing the entire time. The details on the posters matched modern photos. It was like someone printed them ahead of time. I threw them all away, but sometimes I dream I see the faces again. Thanks for watching another night of nightmares here on Creeps and Cases. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments which story creeped you out the most. And if you've got a true horror tale of your own, drop it below, or you might just hear it in the next episode. Until then, sleep tight, if you can.